So hello one more time, dear audience, on the site and online. We are starting our first master class for today. It will be a mountain house. So let's welcome one more time our precious teachers, Venerable Jigme and Venerable Sumati. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Is this working? Yeah, I think it's working. Ooh, that's kind of okay, got it. Um, so, so anyway, we're supposed to talk about, so Mountain House is the retreat house. And so David is the expert because he did the 3-year retreat. And I've done a lot of little retreats up to 10 months. And so I'm the expert in shorter, well, few month retreats. And then he's the expert in long retreats. And he doesn't seem to be the expert in making his computer work. Anyway, so this is David Stumpf, and I guess that you know who he is now. Um, and this talk, what we're supposed to talk about is, thank you, using compassion and retreat to turn pain into power. And the idea is finding balance and strength in the face of suffering. So we were kind of thinking, why did they pick us? And they said, well, we've both done a lot of retreat and we've both been sick a lot. So we think, okay, we're experts now, aren't we? So I don't know if it means we've managed to find balance and strength, but we have the criteria. So anyway, that's David and I have been friends. Actually, his name is Sumati now. We've been friends, I think, since 1999, wasn't it? At Peggy's house.
Yes, Peggy's house.
Exactly. Yeah, Geshe was teaching in Tucson before about a year before his 3-year retreat. And Sumati and I both went. And so I think that's where we first met. And then when Geshe Michael was going to do his 3-year retreat, we had all these big packages of stuff from Mongolia, and nobody even had any tools. And so David and Sarani showed up with tools and know-how and managed to help. We wouldn't have been able to do that retreat without him. So that's true. So he's been helping Diamond Mountain in many ways for so many years. So they wouldn't have been able to do the 3-year retreat without him either, because he did all the water system for the whole retreat. So anyway, that's who he is. We used to be on the board of Diamond Mountain for a long time, and now we're both old, and we both have physical issues. That's us. So the idea is that we both understand pain, and so it maybe the idea of this talk, I think, is that we're supposed to say how retreat can help you transform pain into something that will help others. And I think that's I mean, it's kind of obvious, but anyway, so that's the beginning. Oh, you're supposed to be looking at the first slide, but I guess it didn't happen yet. Anyway, I guess it will happen eventually. Okay, there we go. So that's the title. Okay, so the next slide is I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between empathy and compassion, because that's one of the things they wanted us to talk about. And so I looked it up on Chat GPT. And because, I wanted to know, what is the conventional definition? So, I mean, I know what I'm thinking, but what does everybody think? So what they say is empathy it's the ability to feel what someone else feels. So you understand somebody else's pain or their joy, and so it gives you a deep connection with someone by having empathy. But the problem with that is that if you don't use it, then you become pain. You feel their pain, but you don't do anything about it. You don't know what to do. So compassion is you have empathy, so you understand, you feel someone else's pain, but you also do something about it, and you want to help, and you have the courage to do something. So it adds action. And so that's what we're talking about. It's not necessarily that you actually fix somebody, but that you're open to helping them. And I thought, as an example, just make it a little clearer, I was thinking my friend Venerable Geshe, she has a woman that she helps. Her name's Maxine. And this woman, she had a house, but she was getting too old and too confused. And so she had to move out of the house into a place where there's old people living. And so I feel sorry for her. I feel Maxine's a nice woman, but that's empathy, right? But every Wednesday, Gelsing will go and she'll drive her to the store and she'll take her dog to the vet. So that's compassion. That's the difference. I just, I feel for her, but I don't do anything. That's my understanding of the difference. Okay, so am I going? Are we? How late do we go? What's the ending time? Do you guys know? Oh, it's 1 hour. Good. Okay. Okay. So in retreat, so this is where you're supposed to learn about empathy. But the thing about retreat is that you're there by yourself. I mean, I always do by myself. And so you start to explore your own mind, and now Stanley is organizing these creativity retreats, and that's something that really happens in retreat. That you start to explore your mind and you get all kinds of cool ideas, but also all the pain of your life. You start thinking about all the suffering and all the regrets that you've had. And then you start thinking about your selfishness and how you haven't been able to help others and how you may have harmed others in the past. And that all comes up too. So then the idea is that when all these things come up in your retreat, then you feel them. Don't cut it off. Just allow yourself to feel it, and examine where you've been mistaken. So maybe you think somebody harmed you, but actually they were trying to help you, so that you can go into these things and explore them in your mind. And then you could change your opinion. So sometimes you have some idea that something was, somebody was hurting you, but then you realize maybe they were really trying to help you. Or even if they weren't trying to help you, but they did help you because they taught you something that way. And so then in retreat you can do Donglen. You could do the meditation where you take away someone's suffering and give them happiness. But one of the things I find in retreat is that it's difficult to feel too much empathy because if you're by yourself, you don't see anybody for months and months. It's difficult. You have to kind of create in your mind somebody to feel compassion for. Oh, this picture. Oh, actually, this is the wrong picture. We're on the next picture. That's a picture of Lord Buddha being attacked by demons. And that can be like a retreat. You know, you're sitting there and all your demons come and attack you. And this is just before he got enlightened. So there's hope. Okay. So that's the next picture. So this is when you're in retreat, then you can they have these two practices of equalizing and exchanging self and others. So this is how you can change empathy into compassion. So empathy, first you start to treat yourself and others exactly the same. And thinking about how everyone wants to be happy and they don't want to suffer. That's the first step. And their feelings are the same to them as yours are to you. And then you can think about if somebody else is in pain, how they would also want to take away their pain as much as you would want to take away your pain. And so their pain is to them is exactly as the same as your pain is to you. And then also the same thing is if you see some way to make someone else happy, then it's the same thing. They want to be happy as much as you do. So you put the same effort into making them happy as you would to make yourself happy. So that's empathy. But then compassion is more about learning how to exchange your own happiness for others people. So this is more radical. So you're trying to take their pain away first, and that's more important than your own. So then consider the pains that others have and how you could take away that pain. And if you see a way of taking the pain away and make that the priority more than taking your own pain. And what I'm thinking is you're used to your own pain. You can tolerate that. But somebody else, maybe their pain is more, for them, it's more intolerable. And so then the final step of this practice is to put yourself in the body and mind of somebody else, and then have through their eyes look back at you. And so you're in their body, you're in their mind, and you're looking at you. And then think, how can this person that I'm looking at, how can they help me? Because you're them. And so it's a way of looking through other people's eyes to find out how you can help them and how they look at you and how you look at them. I'm thinking maybe we could break it up and we could talk about if you want.
I think this will work better.
Okay. Okay, we'll do that. Okay. I think I'm going faster than you should.
Never heard the end of.
Okay. Next slide. Okay. So so this is about how ways to increase your compassion. So as you're doing this practice of looking at others with compassion and looking back at yourself through their eyes, then your compassion starts to get bigger. And then if you see any time that you could remove pain from someone else, I mean, even here it's a dog. And even if it costs you something, you know, even if it's difficult, still you try to remove their suffering and try to help them, and then dedicate that to removing your own selfishness. And then also, if you see an opportunity to help somebody else, rather than trying to make yourself happy. And this is something that's not easy, because you don't really, normally we're not thinking about, we're thinking about where I am and what my own feelings. We're not thinking about this other person, because our own feelings are so strong. But then if you make it a point to do that, deliberately think, okay, I'm going to try to make other people happy, and just see, without even thinking about myself. It's not very easy. You can do it for a few minutes sometimes, but it grows. And then the more you do it, then the more it becomes natural. And but it's difficult, and that's why because sometimes they call a bodhisattva will be called a spiritual warrior. It's because they're doing something so difficult. So what we're doing here is we're fighting our own mental afflictions, our own selfishness, and that's the real enemy. So we have this feeling that our own needs are the most important. And I think really what in the natural world that might be overcome by when you have a child. That's I think normally, if you, like, I don't have any children, so I never had any reason not to be selfish. But I think when you have children, then you have to give up your own selfishness. And I think maybe that's the main thing for the main reason that humans learn about compassion is by having children, or parents even. Okay, next one. Okay, so one thing that you can do to help to increase your own compassion is and this is like if you're sick, or if you're, I mean, everybody has pains and everybody has problems. And one way, so then instead of thinking, oh, this hurts and I'm sad, nobody's taking care of me, and I can't walk right now, or whatever it is. And I've been sick for a couple of years, and so I'm in that position sometimes, and on and off, David all the time, but for me it's been different things, one after another. So rather than, it's just natural. Okay, right now my brain isn't working and I can't think, or right now I keep falling over every time I stand up, or okay, but I'm used to that suffering. That's something I'm used to, and I know what it is, and I can deal with that. That's something I can handle. So if I had the opportunity, would I, if I could give that to somebody else and not have it anymore, would I do that? And that's one way you can create in your own mind the willingness to, it's basically offering yourself to save the other. I would be if I had the opportunity to make somebody else have my pain or my suffering, would I do that? And the thing about that, and you probably wouldn't, because you're used to it and you wouldn't want to have anybody else have that. So it's a way of creating that kind of compassion in your own mind just by using the suffering that you already have. And I think always I think always that you wouldn't want to push it on somebody else. So you say, that's okay, I can handle it. And so then that way you're thinking, it's like, okay, I'm accepting this pain to keep others from having that suffering. And so that's compassion. And that's a way to deal with your own pain. And it gives the suffering, it gives purpose to your suffering and your sickness. And just keep saying, okay, I'm taking this to prevent it from someone else. And this will give you the seeds ultimately to remove suffering completely from your world, because you're removing it from your own mind and from, so then you stop creating it in your own world. Okay, next one. So when you're meditating, what your empathy, your caring for others it's you can see it in your awareness of how your mind is working. So when you see somebody else's suffering, then the empathy will say, oh, I understand their suffering and I can feel that they're suffering, but the compassion will say, I have to stop this pain. So I have to, it's because you're feeling it as your own, you want to stop their suffering. So the retreat, the meditation and retreat can be a way to practice encountering the suffering of the world and stopping it in your own mind. So it's kind of ironic because I've been sick for 2 or 3 years with 2 different kinds of cancer, and I had pneumonia. I had COVID for 2 months. I had an eye thing where I couldn't see for a year. I could see a little bit, but it hurt. And so I'm just one thing after another. I was like, and I've started to feel better in the past 2 weeks. I've started to feel better, and but my first thought was, hey, this one's going away. I wonder what the next one will be. But so far I'm okay. So we'll see. But anyway, so this is it's kind of ironic because when I put this class together, then I was still feeling pretty bad. So anyway, so maybe it's not so bad now. But basically, this is the way I'm feeling about it, is that as you get older, and there's a tendency to get a lot of illnesses, different things, one after another. Geshe Michael and I, that's when we see each other, that's what we talk about. And when I see my doctor, then she'll say, oh, and how is Michael doing? And because we have the same doctors. And so this is like, when you're young, you don't think about this, but when you get old, that's what's on your mind, is what your illness is. Not everybody. Some people don't have that problem, but many of us do. But getting old, it helps you to, one of the things about being sick is that it helps your empathy, that your awareness of other people's suffering. And so then you can feel this connection with others. Like, Geshe Michael and I and David and I, we can connect because we both understand suffering. And so that's a way to connect with people. And it's the first step toward equalizing others' pain as being exactly the same as yours. They're not exactly the same. I mean, we have different kinds of suffering, but we both understand suffering. So that's empathy. So, but then compassion, it allows us to transform suffering into the strength to overcome all the pain in your world. So by your understanding of your suffering and others, then you can change the suffering of the world. And maybe, I think maybe that's one of the reasons why people, when you get older, there's a tendency to be sick, or have problems, pain, and because that's your opportunity to transform the world into to destroy the suffering of the world. I think if many people here have roots in Christianity, and that's exactly what Jesus was doing on the cross. While he was dying, he was taking the suffering of everyone. And that's all we can do. You know, if you have pain, if you have suffering, anything, you can take on the suffering of the world. And that in that way, you can stop the pain of the world. So by changing your mind to focusing on putting other people first, then you're destroying all your negative seeds and all the tendencies that are keeping suffering in your world. So you destroy it in your own mind, you're no longer creating it in the world. And because of emptiness, then you'll be able to change your world into a place where nobody's ever sick or unhappy ever again. Okay, then we got the next slide. This one doesn't have anything. This is so so this is the woman who's well, you can see what it is. Okay. Anyway, that's my presentation.
Okay. Well, first off, I have the privilege of being on stage with one of my teachers. So thank you. Okay, I was supposed to talk about love and compassion and retreat. And as people who know me know, I've changed that around to talk about what I want to talk about. So I'm going to talk about love and compassion from a personal perspective. Geshe Michael has often said it takes a powerful personal event to get you started on your path to freedom. I've had 2 instances in my life of this, and I'm going to share with you one today that allowed me to come and understand in a powerful way how love and compassion can permeate your life. So first of all, what is love? There's a song, Tina Turner, what has love got to do with it? But that's not where we're going. In course 1, class 8, so very early in the ACI coursework, there's a 7-part instruction on cause and effect for developing bodhicitta. And step 4, you're to love people like you love your child, wanting to give them happiness. So for the sake of my story, love is going to be making people happy. So what is compassion? Compassion, step 5 in the 7-part instruction of cause and effect. And compassion is wanting to remove others' suffering. So here's my story. One day in 2017, while writing a section of my technical history of a missile system the Air Force had, there's another whole other story about why I write about nuclear weapons, but we won't go there. I noticed that my left hand was typing more slowly than my right hand. Now, this is something as a touch typist you don't normally think about, but it was clear to me something was going on. It was subtle. I didn't really know how long I had been doing it, but I passed it off as my just getting old. And when you get to our age, you pass off a lot about getting old. For those that don't know, getting old is not for sissies. So, okay, so not too long after that, we were on one of our evening walks in our community, and I noticed across the street, a man on the other side of the street was not swinging his left arm when he walked. I think that was quite odd, so I focused my attention on my arm motion, and sure enough, I was not swinging my left arm as I walked either. So my wife, as a retired physician assistant, suggested I make an appointment with my primary care provider and see what was going on. Long story short, soon after I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. So I left the doctor's office. I sat down in my car and cried for a couple of minutes. Then I called my wife, who had just come out of a retreat in Colorado, a 30-day retreat in Colorado. And I told her, and then I shared with her my 4 jokes I had made up concerning Parkinson's, because I'm treating Parkinson's with a sense of humor. I promised Jigme I wouldn't tell you my jokes, but I'm going to do it anyway. Now, these jokes don't necessarily cross the translation barrier. So I apologize for those of you from Russia or Ukraine, usually look at me with blank stares, but I'll explain the jokes to you afterwards. Okay, the first joke. What's a Parkinson's patient's favorite alcoholic beverage? A martini, shaken, not stirred. How do you know a Morse code operator has Parkinson's? They stutter. You're probably not old enough to know about Morse code. So that's why that joke failed. Okay, why are we considered to be so friendly? We're always waving. And why are we considered to be angry all the time? We're always shaking our fists. So, okay. So when I got home, I started researching the causes for Parkinson's from a Western medicine standpoint. I found that many of the organic solvents I used in my career as a scientist were linked to be probable causes for Parkinson's. And I recalled in my organic chemistry labs in University of California, Riverside, we used organic solvents like you find in gasoline without any protection, because why use protection? So it turned out so the next semester they removed all those solvents from our use because they were possible cancer-causing agents. So I enjoy trying to figure out the how and the why of any given situation, which is one of my favorite teachings from Geshe Michael, the how and the why of things in my life. So how I developed Parkinson's could reasonably be the result of careless use of organic solvents back in my college days. But more interestingly to me, the why I developed Parkinson's was now crystal clear as well. It's not the case that everyone who uses benzene or dichloroethane without protective gloves gets Parkinson's. If it were so, there'd be quite many more of us on the planet. So organic solvents weren't the why. So what was the why of my getting Parkinson's? The tremor on my left side, which at the time was an intermittent tremor, the jolts of energy that run down my legs and make it difficult to stay still, they're all inconvenient for me and those around me, as I found it hard to sit still. I don't drive anymore. Another inconvenience to me. My sense of taste and smell is nearly completely gone. It's an inconvenience for me and for my wife because I'm the cook in the family. So you can imagine how some meals taste. I have another story about that, but I won't go there. I don't Oh, I said I don't drive anymore. So something as simple as opening a Ziploc bag becomes a chore unless it has a zipper tab. Now, how many of you even stop and think when you're opening a Ziploc bag? I didn't used to. Now it's like, I got to go find my wife. So buttoning buttons on a short sleeve shirt, that's difficult. So perhaps the why I got Parkinson's was in part because I inconvenienced people in the past, many people. And maybe even the recent past, since as a typical teenager, I must have inconvenienced my parents, powerful karmic objects, quite often. So now I had the how and the why. Could something as seemingly innocuous as inconveniencing people in the past created my present? Well, it's certainly one of the myriad possibilities. So now, knowing the how and the why, I stay away from organic solvents. And I try extremely hard not to inconvenience others. Yes, having someone drive me to get groceries is an inconvenience to them, could be an inconvenience to them, but we have a service in my community where people enjoy helping people such as myself that can't drive. So acting with wisdom, my present efforts do not inconvenience others, and dedicating that effort will plant seeds for a Parkinson's-free future, hopefully in this life. Parkinson's has taught me very powerfully to be aware of the small things that make people happy. Accepting someone else's help, using stairs, getting in and out of cars, opening my backpack to get this computer out. That brings a smile to their face. Knowing that they're enabling me to go shopping for groceries likewise brings a smile. I know how happy I feel when I'm able to help someone. As for compassion, to me, compassion for others begins with compassion for yourself. Not everyone is ready to accept the responsibility of their karma ripening for their present situation. How often do you hear someone say, it's my karma, but instead of it's my karma, so? How often do you say it? If I'm completely honest with myself, I shall catch myself thinking it more often than I'd like to admit. So to put this all in perspective, I came up with this following thought. Remembering you need to remember that your past is your present and your present is your future. I can do very little, if anything, about my past. But as it ripens in my present, I can do a lot to make sure I'm setting the seeds for the future by not inconveniencing others. So I can do something about it. It's my hope that in sharing this story, others will take away their suffering and replace the woe is me attitude with it's my responsibility and I can do something about it. The key is to take love and compassion now from my personal level and extend it to those around me. I'd like to end this by saying, every morning I get out of bed and I say to myself, today could be the last day of burning off my seeds for having Parkinson's. I firmly believe that this is entirely possible, and I'm trying hard to make it happen before I die. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So we still have 20 minutes. And you might want to just have a break. Okay. Did you have a question?
Алло, извините, на русском.
I will translate.
По поводу Сумати, буквально вчера говорили, что с утра до вечера учитель здесь, и это очень бесценно.
She really appreciates that you are staying from morning till the late evening on this teaching, and this is priceless.
Я записала ваши шутки на 100, буду их теперь транслировать.
She wrote down your jokes for herself. She noted them, so she will make them for her friends.
Большое спасибо, что обучаете. Продолжайте, пожалуйста, обучать.
Thank you a lot for teaching. Please continue.
Сумати, благодаря вашим курсам онлайн, которые я прохожу, каждый раз они начинаются. Делитесь своей радостью.
And thanks to your courses that she's participating in, each class is starting from, please share your joy.
Только благодаря вам я сейчас отнесу в свою семью, спрашиваю своего сына, мужа, поделитесь своей радостью, как прошел у вас день.
And because of this, she is sharing this wisdom with her family, with her friends, and she asked them, please share your joy today. What good happened with you?
Большое спасибо.
Thank you very much.
It's coming.
Who's
Yes. Thank you for sharing so much. I am dealing with something. I can use the pain or the trouble I have with my hip to offer for nobody else suffer the same and make it like the Jesus at the cross. But at the same time, deep in me, I am dealing with the opposite about I am a healthy person. I want to be healthy, most of because I want to help everybody. So how you match both? Because I can imagine when you said about I am gonna be gentle with people, don't make them uncomfortable because I wanna end with this. But at the same time, I have to Jigme, I have to offer this. So how do I deal with both?
My thinking about this is, okay, obviously you don't want to have sickness or suffering. But if you have it, then you can transform it. But if you don't have it, that's even better. So, you know, you can use it either way. You can use it. Is that okay? Yeah, okay. Anyone else? We can have a break if you want.
Hi. I'd like to share a question from online, if that's okay.
Okay.
This is from Ludmaya in Italy. What happens when our negative emotions are stronger than our capacity to understand emptiness and think of seeds? What do you recommend when the negative emotion is stronger than the ability to get to the wisdom and the compassion?
Well, my solution to most problems like that is to eat ice cream. Now, if you're a vegan and you can't eat ice cream, then find some vegan chocolate. No, in seriousness, I think for me, when I address problems such as Parkinson's, I try very hard to start with myself and realize, and this is difficult and hard maybe for initial students in the Dharma, to understand that it's my fault. The pain I can't deal with isn't going to go away by some magic. It's going to go away because of my karmic seeds ripening at those particular moments. So what I try very hard to do is stop, say to myself, it's my fault. What am I going to do about it? And that's one of the beauties of Buddhism for me, is no one out there is going to solve my problem. It's up to me, and I have to step up and do it. And that's a difficult first barrier or obstacle to surmount. But Buddhism gives us the tool. Uh-oh. Kat and I have a very interesting history, so uh-oh is not unreasonable.
I just want to say, you two were the first two people I met in the Dharma in 2002. And I've watched you apply wisdom and compassion to your individual suffering for all these years, and bow to your strength and to your example of walking the talk. You've been applying what our teacher's been telling us consistently. You've suffered greatly through it, and you still keep walking it. And I just want to honor both of these people. I'm sorry. It's easy to
Well, an interesting story for me is my wife and I first learned about Geshe Michael with a poster that was stapled to a telephone pole. And it said, American Geshe, whatever that means, is going to be talking about something called the Diamond Cutter Sutra, whatever that means. So our introduction out of all of the courses we could have had in terms of simplicity for original concepts, we're sitting through a 2 weekend course on karma and emptiness. And I remember Geshe would ask the rhetorical question, so is that really what? And I'd go, really? That means no. So no, it isn't. And he'd go, yes, it is. And then they'd do the reverse and I'd still get it wrong. But the beauty of his teaching and his style of teaching was a difficult course like that intrigued me, and I wanted to continue. So I just find it, of all the courses that to me are the hardest to teach and bewildering even now, are the Diamond Cutter course and course 13, Logic. That still bewilders me. Yep. So if you want to take course 13, take it from Jigme or my lovely wife. And those of you who are going to be taking it from me, I applaud you.
Thank you so much for teaching, both of you, and I ask for you both to please stay. I would love to hear a little bit about how you both do retreat and how you started doing retreat and what your suggestions are for starting retreat. Thank you.
We started retreat. Well, we moved to Diamond Mountain at the beginning of Diamond Mountain. I was the operations manager for most of the existence of Diamond Mountain. And we had accepted the challenge of doing 4 Leirung retreats, having received initiation from Ken Rinpoche. And you're supposed to do the 4 retreats before you die. That's the commitment you make. And I don't know when I'm going to die, so I had to get these retreats done. My wife and I knew we had to get these retreats done. So one of our reasons to move to Diamond Mountain was there was a retreat cabin called the Guardhouse where we could do isolated retreats right away. And we started doing them. And the Guardhouse is a piece of work if you ever get a chance to be in it. So I started retreat, serious long-term retreat with the Leirungs. And once I got started with it, I looked forward to them. When you're a new student with the commitment, you probably think, oh, getting up at 3 in the morning is going to be terrible. It is still terrible. But the key is you're supposed to do your last session before, let's see, after sunset. So do it in the winter because sunset comes pretty early and you can get that part of your commitment done. I think maybe the key for me for retreat is meals. And to me, you make the meals as simple as possible so that you can spend as little time cooking as possible. Now, was it my first one? Yeah, my first Leirung, I had a caretaker who was supposed to deliver food and he forgot. And I had 2 days, which, 2 days without food is not that big a deal, but 2 days eating the same instant oatmeal. I don't like instant oatmeal anymore. So I think the key for me is that, because if you're not thinking about food, then you can focus your attention on what you're really there for. You're not there for a fast. You're there to really understand the material, the sadhana that you've been given, if you're doing a Leirung. I don't know if that answers your question, but.
My thing was a little bit different. My first retreat, I didn't know what I was doing. It was before I met Geshe Michael. It was before I was a nun even. And I don't even know why I decided to do it, but I went to this retreat place and I had a weekend and they didn't have any cabins, so they put me in a very small temple. And there was like all these water bowls and things. And I didn't know what I was supposed to do. So, and I can't even remember what I had no idea what I was supposed to do. I just wanted to do a retreat. I think I ended up doing prostrations. But then when, while I was there, I saw a brochure they had in somewhere, and it was about some teachings that were going to happen in India. And so I thought, oh, that's what I want to do. So I ended up going for these teachings. I took some time off work, and I think it was almost a month. And that was, then I got all these teachings from the highest of possible lamas. And that was my first retreat. Then after that, it was about a year later, I went back to Nepal for more teachings and ended up becoming a nun. And after that, I went and I did a 8-month retreat. And that one was interrupted because I went into a coma and went to the hospital. And nearly died in New Delhi. So I've just had weird retreats. Then, but I've done after that. I did a whole bunch of 1 month retreats in different places. Usually, lots of times it was at somebody. I had a friend who had he was an architect and he had some outbuildings, little houses on his property in Arkansas. So I used to go there and do retreat.
I know who you're talking about. Jim Rasper.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. He's the one who designed the temple in Madison, Wisconsin. He's an architect. He designed it, the temple where the first Kala Chakra was done in the United States. Really cool guy. And his wife is a nun. And anyway, I used to do retreats at their place. And then I did a 10-month retreat when Geshe Michael, after he came out of his 3-year retreat. And Earl decided he was going to cook for me. I have no idea why. And then I thought, this guy's really skinny. And I thought, there's no way he could cook. But it turns out he's a good cook. And he never forgot. So yeah, those are the retreats I've done.
They don't appreciate food until you don't have it.
What's that?
Is it in here?
Plastic.
Oh, yeah.
Fasting, yeah. Not when you're in retreat. No, you got to eat. In retreat, you have to eat because otherwise you get lung and then you get nervous. You get it's
bad quickly.
Yeah, it's not good.
Thank
Tracy?
you. Thank you. Thank you. From my heart to yours and all the people here through all kinds of distant lands across wherever. Right in this moment, I'm so grateful to you both. I bow down to you both for being the perfected emanation of compassion and empathy. And I know from my perspective, you have definitely never inconvenienced me. And I'm so grateful every time I go to Diamond Mountain, I feel and see you both. And I thank you for the presence and the water, the hot shower that, just all of that. So I just wanted to put that out. And my question is, I come across a lot of beings that are so craving for the compassion. And could you share some tools to offer as invitations to people who are seeking more self-compassion and accessing a hopefully a shortcut to access it for themselves? Love, kindness, and compassion. Any shortcuts? I've tried the ice cream thing and it hasn't always been successful. So I welcome any shortcuts, please, for that.
Well, this is hard for most people to accept, but again, it's your fault. It's your karma ripening. So instead of looking for an external solution, look into yourself and find that thing or the things that you did in the past that could possibly be causing the pain you have, and purify that by not doing it in the present. That's very hard, and most people don't want to think that it's because of their past deeds. But if you can convince yourself of that, then it becomes pretty easy to work with. And I knew that the minute I got diagnosed with Parkinson's. I didn't think, well, it's not fair. It's somebody else's fault. It's the University of California, Riverside's fault for not doing a better job with the solvent. No, it's my fault for using the solvents. It's my fault for having inconvenienced others, and I can do something about it, and I will. So it's not really a shortcut, I guess, but it's a discipline, and that's one of another part of the Dharma that I really like. It's a discipline of using the teachings we have with my karma so instead of my karma but. You have a question in the back?
Thank you very much for sharing your precious experience and your ideas about love and compassion and retreats. So I'm also from the obviously best house, which is the mountain house. And after your teaching, I'm thinking maybe some people will think that, oh my God, this house is kind of dangerous because you can get into coma or, you know. So could you please share, and I'm also going to 1 month retreat soon. So I would like you to share some ideas how to stay safe, you know, healthy, and any suggestions for people that they would not run away from the mountain house, but would be attracted to come.
Well, it's easy to think that you're going to be battling your demons, and you will battle them to some extent. But again, taking the time to do retreat is going to allowed me to see where my practice was and what I could do to further my practice. I never felt in danger. I had to leave 3 retreat because I almost died. But I didn't know at the time I was that sick. And when they took me out to the hospital, the emergency doctor came in. I heard him in the background when I first got there. They'd done some blood tests. And he said, 300. I've never heard of 3,000. I've never heard of anybody living above 300. It was for value for the specific test. And he was talking about me. So he comes into my room, and I wanted to get up and walk around, and the nurses wouldn't let me. And I still didn't know what was wrong. And he came in and said, Mr. Stumpf, you should be dead. And I looked at him, I said, well, thank you. And it turned out I had massive blood clots in my lung. But I didn't feel like I was sick. So don't take these stories as... The equation isn't retreat equals almost dying. The equation is retreat equals vastly improving your practice and vastly improving your practice.
I think one thing you could think about is that, so I almost died. I had a liver failure, and they said I had a 90% chance of dying, but I didn't. And so then, but what you can take from that is that so we both survived. And the idea the idea is that the karma, there's purification, but so we have the karma to purify all that stuff that would have killed us, but it didn't. And so just think of how much negativity, how many bad seeds you're destroying by going into retreat, and it ripens in a way, but it didn't, you know, neither one of us actually had any pain. You know, I mean, I was like gonna die. My ex-husband came to pick up my body, and you know, but here we are. Yeah. And I think the thing is that retreat is an adventure, and you can purify a lot, And you take it that way. Take it as this is powerful stuff. But you got to be, you can't be a wimp.
You can't be a sissy.
A sissy. And you probably, you might not know what those words mean, but you understand the meaning. Huh?
我可以讲国语，就中国话吗？啊？对。啊，我想感恩您为钻石山闭关中心所做出的努力，因为我刚刚完成10天的闭关，就在您创造的第19号闭关房。
First of all, I would like to thank you because we just finished a 10 days retreat on the Diamond Mountain. So he stayed in the room cabin 19. So he wants to send his warmest thankfulness and to you.
我在闭关的10天，能感受到19号闭关房您留下的能量，而且您在创建第19号闭关房的时候，这个是它的地理位置的风水特别好，这个闭关房的朝向也特别的好。
In particularly, I want to say, I can feel the energy and the specific location and even the construction of cabin 19. He can feel extremely different energy and magics which you have created for us.
而且我还发现更特别的，佛菩萨无处不在，大大的佛菩萨，还有小小的佛菩萨，在各个角落都有。感谢你。
Also, he found within that cabin 19, he noticed there are many Buddhas around. There are smaller ones, there are very big ones, and there are tiny in each corner. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
非常感恩您为更多的人走进智慧，为更多的人能有一个好的闭关的场所所做出的努力，向您学习。
Last, I would like to bow to you, two teachers, and thank you very much for your construction and your efforts of building this cabin for the Diamond Mountains. And also thank you again for bringing so many other people entering the door of wisdom. Thank you.
Last word is welcome to Diamond Mountain Retreat Center to do your deep retreat. It's very beautiful and very amazing.
Cabin 19 was the one that my wife and I did retreat in. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, Gelsey.
So I just wanted to say for those of you, you're listening to these stories of near-death experiences in retreat, and you're going like, well, do I want to do that? Look at the results of these two people. This is the testament to what retreat can do for you.
Thank you so much, dear teachers. That was a fantastic class. Both of you are such an immaculate example of how to turn pain into power. Thank you for this class. And for the audience, please prepare yourself for the next yoga session at 10:15. And please enjoy our shops to help overseas programs and Diamond Cutter Press, please. Yes, and help with chairs, please.